Hello everyone, it's Jeff. Tuesday afternoon, very sunny. And as you can see, the light coming through my front door, which is right there, is shining at such an angle that it shines on my head. So if you see me bobbing and weaving, it's to try to keep the weird light off my head. This is just a hopefully short, quick video. I got in several new records. These are all, actually I got 5 new records and a CD. All of them released in 2017, or in the case of Automatic for the People, reissued in 2017. This was the last album to arrive from the first gift card that I got. This is just the track list. I think pretty much everybody knows of this album, or at least has heard something off of this album. This was the first one that I knew I was going to order with that gift card. And it was the last one to arrive, so I guess life's funny that way. But glad to have this on vinyl. Glad to have it as a new reissue. It's supposedly remastered. So I expect this to sound mighty good. Another artist who I've kind of lost track of over the years. No reflection on his music, just one of those things, is Beck. And he put out an album this year called Colors. All of these are still in the shrink. I haven't opened any of these yet. This is the red vinyl edition, so this record is going to be red vinyl. The last Beck album that I bought or really paid attention to, I think, was The Information. And that was 10 years ago now. I think that album's 10 years old. So I know he's released many albums since, and I know I've heard many good songs since then, but for whatever reason, someday I'll go back and I'll just buy all those albums up and listen to them all. But heard good stuff about this one. The tracks I sampled off it sounded really good. And yeah, Beck is one of my favorites. I love Beck. He always has something interesting to put out on vinyl, not on anything really, any format. Love Beck. The last 3 albums were ones that I saw in the Dark Stuff's Best of 2017 albums video. And based on that and the tracks that I sampled on YouTube and on Amazon, which is where I got all of these, led me to spend someone else's money with the gift card I got for my birthday, and I bought them. The first one wasn't really too hard of a sell for me. It's by Bash and Pop. It's called Anything Could Happen. Bash and Pop is the band that Tommy Stinson formed way back in the 90s, early 90s, after the Replacements broke up. And I think they only released one album, and then they split up. And he went and did his own thing for 20 some odd years. But in 2017, I don't know if it's the entire original old band reunited, or if he's just calling it Bash and Pop because it's his band. These are all the tracks. But anything with a Replacements connection is a pretty easy sell for me. And I'm a big Replacements fan, and I like Tommy Stinson, and I like Bash and Pop way back when. So this is going to be pretty much right up my alley. It sounds very kind of Stonesy, kind of like the Faces that white boy bluesy rock and roll type sound that so many bands made popular back in the day. This feels more like an old school record than anything. So this was an easy one. Didn't have to sell me too hard on Bash and Pop. The second one, also based on Dark Stuff's video and samples, Do the Negative Boogie by David Nance. This sounds more garagey, a little more like noise rock, and I can get into that. Here's the back cover. Yeah, I've been wanting to try new music for a while, but it's hard, especially because new albums are fairly pricey. But being able to check them out beforehand and decide, you can see my phone as I'm recording this. But being able to check things out beforehand, and listening to them is pretty helpful. So I kind of know what I'm getting at least. And this sounds like this should be a good one too. And I hope to do a little more in-depth reviews of these albums after I listen to them, hopefully a couple times, and I can say something a little more intelligent on them other than just it sounded cool, so I bought it. This last one was probably the riskiest of the three that I picked. But based on what I heard, it sounded interesting, so I gave it a shot. It's I don't know how this is going to show up with the shiny cover here. Let me rip the shrink wrap off this one so it'll show up better. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's the butt cover. This is Mass Deduction by St. Vincent. And there's the back. This isn't a gatefold, is it? No. I know of St. Vincent. I've heard probably some of her records on the radio. I know she did a big album with David Byrne a few years ago, and that was all over the one FM station I still listen to in Chicago. But based off of the video, I actually went back and watched Dark Stuff's in-depth review of this album, and I was able to listen to the tracks a little bit more, and it sounded kind of interesting. So I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a shot. Let's just see what all you get in here. Since I popped it open, this would be like a live open, and it is on pink vinyl. Looks pretty cool. Loma Vista Records is the record label. And it looks like it comes with this was not the super deluxe edition, this was just the regular edition. A download card just fell onto the ground, so I get the download card too. Oh, and we get this big poster. Big poster with the lyrics on the other side. As you're not gonna be able to just see that they're not gonna be able to read them, but there's lyrics there, trust me, and credits. So that's pretty cool. I've heard comparisons to David Bowie, which piqued my interest. Although, in all honesty, she'd have to go pretty fucking far to be compared to David Bowie in my book, but you never know. Don't mean to swear, but I've heard comparisons to Prince as well, and I could agree with that on a surface level a little bit easier. Like I said, I'm coming to this totally cold. I've just about no previous knowledge or listening to any of her music, so this was the riskiest of the purchases that I made, but I'm pretty confident that I'll like it, and I'll give it a few spins and let you know what I thought. So yeah, those three albums were from the Dark Stuff video. So go check that out. It's good stuff. It's dark stuff, but it's good stuff. And finally, this is even more oddball purchase. Once I explain this to you, you'll understand why. But I got the Dave Koz and Friends 20th Anniversary Christmas CD. There's the back. There's Dave right there with his friends. And all right, I'm just gonna tell you the whole story. When I met my wife, and that's a whole story in and of itself. But when we were just getting back together after being apart for a good 15 years, this was back in 2011. She asked me to get tickets to this show because she liked Dave Koz, and every year Dave Koz plays a Christmas concert in Chicago. Usually it's at the Chicago Theater, which is a beautiful place to see a show. So I said, okay, sure. I had no knowledge of this guy. I didn't know what he did other than a smooth jazz saxophone. And so I got the tickets, and it was a very nice concert. I mean, it's smooth jazz. You know, it's pretty mellow. It's pretty laid back. And it was a 180-degree difference from the type of music that I expected my wife to like, because all through college, when I knew her in college and beyond, I knew she was she liked metal. Scorpions was her first concert. She liked Metallica, Motley Crue, Ozzy, you know, all the 80s metal bands, and even like the hard electronic music like Nitzer Ebb, Nine Inch Nails, you know, real hard, aggressive, loud, forceful music. So, and one of my favorite pictures of her, just to sidetrack a little bit, one of my favorite pictures of her is of her when she was a teenager. And my dog won't stop barking outside. I'm going to beat her ass. She better shut up. All right. My favorite picture of her is of her at a church picnic, because her mom, my mother-in-law, is the church organist. So my wife grew up hardcore Catholic, always was in church, always was at church functions. So there's a picnic in the summer, and she's takes a picture with her girlfriends, and they're all dressed, you know, just in normal 80s type clothes. They got the feathered hair, and my wife's standing there with a big grin on her face, holding a giant boombox, wearing an Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. So that really went over well, I'm sure, back in the 80s when everybody thought Ozzy was a Satan worshiper who bit the heads off bats and stuff like that. So it's just a totally rock and roll picture to me. So it's one of my favorites of her. And to see her like this too really just struck me as funny. Not in a derisive sort of way, but just, you know, strange, where you learn something about somebody when you think you know everything. So when we went to this show on the 9th of December, which was 2 weekends ago, we went to the Dave Koz show, and it was perfectly fine. I like this music too. You know, I can just sit there and chill out and listen to it, and seeing her happy is my greatest reward anyway. So when I saw that this was available, I had to get it for her. It's only available on CD, so that's the reason why I got this album, which is pretty unlike anything else that I buy normally. And there you go. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting. I enjoy everyone's comments. Thank you for all the shout outs by Vinyl Victim's niece. I've gotten many new subscribers. Thanks to you. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. The top 100 list is coming. Take care, everyone. Merry Christmas.